Nowadays, it doesn't look like the Raptors or Kawhi are going to win a title anytime soon. I mean, Kawhi just re-upped with the Clippers. I guess he's got James Harden there, but not much else. And the Raptors, they are a long ways away. They got some nice young players. I like Scotty Barnes. I like RJ Barrett. I like Emmanuel Quickly, but they're a long ways away. But not too long ago, both of them were at the top of the basketball world.
Yeah, the Raptors took a massive risk in the summer of 2018 when they traded for Kawhi. Paid off big time. One of the most dominant playoff runs in NBA history. And it ends with the Raptors knocking off the two-time defending champion Warriors and capturing their first ever NBA championship.
Before we start talking about the 2019 Raptors, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. So before we talk about the 2019 season, you gotta know the context of the Raptors and the seasons prior. They had a lot of regular season success. I mean, 5 straight seasons of being a top 4 seed. Previous year in 2018, they had the best record in the East. Dwayne Casey wins Coach of the Year. But I mean, the postseason success never really transferred. And it's really because of one guy.
Because of LeBron James. I mean, we covered this a bit in our LeBronto video, but every time the Raptors got deep in the playoffs, unfortunately, they just ran into LeBron, and it was just like he had a psychological hold on them.
Yeah.
Like they could not beat him no matter what they did.
And after getting swept in 2018 when LeBron was doing those ridiculous fadeaway shots, major changes were needed. First, they fired Dwayne Casey. Kind of like rough to happen because you just win Coach of the Year, but I mean, it had to happen. You promote Nick Nurse.
Yeah, it was the right decision in hindsight, although I would love to hear from Raptors upper management what coaching adjustments they would do to prevent LeBron from hitting those jump shots, because I'm convinced one doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't think so. And then the other shocking major move, they acquire Kawhi Leonard, who had just requested a trade from the Spurs. And obviously, like, the trade haul makes sense. It was worth it, 100% in hindsight. But what was so shocking about it was this was seen as a 1-year rental. The worst kept secret in the league was Kawhi Leonard wanted to go home to LA. If it wasn't the Lakers, it was going to be the Clippers. So you were most likely just getting a 1-year rental of Kawhi Leonard.
I mean, I remember Chris Broussard saying on The Herd that he thought even if the Raptors won a championship, that Kawhi would still leave.
I mean, that's literally
what happened. Yeah, I mean, he was right on the money. I remember watching that at the time. I was like, they won the title. Surely he would stay. Nope. No, he just wanted to go home.
And they didn't have to send out some insane haul to get him at least. Like, you weren't mortgaging your future. You had to part ways with fan favorite DeMar DeRozan. I'm sure that had to hurt, but that backcourt had to be broken up. You send out Jakob Poeltl and a 2019 first round pick. You also get back Danny Green in the deal, which is a very good role player who had been in championships before. So an amazing trade for the Raptors. I will hold the belief it was an awful haul for the Spurs, but we do got to give the context. They were still trying to win. Is DeMar DeRozan and Aldridge a winning team? No, but that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done worse if you were trying to compete. I think your belief is more so coming from the point of that idea of trying to compete is just flawed from the very beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah, like they should have traded LaMarcus Aldridge away. They should have demanded back young players, picks, all that, and just restarted. Like Aldridge and DeRozan at that point was at very best probably like a second round team at their absolute maximum, and they couldn't even get to that.
Yeah, they pushed the Nuggets to Game 7 that one year, but still couldn't beat them.
That was as good as they were gonna do.
Now on to the season. Well, a little bit before the season media day, we got to mention the Kawhi Leonard laugh when he's like, I don't even know where that dude is sitting. He was definitely did not help the robot allegations he already had.
You know, if Terminator ever gets rebooted again, can I get a Kawhi Leonard cameo?
We need that.
Where he's a Terminator. I know they gave us the advertisements with him, but put him on the big screen, please.
The Raptors had a terrific start to the season, though. They opened against the Cavs, and I know LeBron wasn't there, but they at least got some revenge. Kawhi and Lowry combined for 51, and they win their first 5 games. They win 12 of their first 13, and we got to mention that Kawhi steal he had against the Timberwolves. One of the best steals in NBA history because he doesn't even see the damn ball and somehow still gets
Brother
it.
Turns into like a defensive back for a second. Like he knows the ball is up there, just sticks his hands up and gets a hand on it somehow. They would, weirdly enough, follow this up with a 3-game losing streak to the Pelicans, Pistons, and Celtics, but they followed that up by winning their next 8. During that stretch, Danny Green hit a game winner against the Magic on the road, and this would become a running theme for the Raptors this entire year, is how many close games they played, and for the most part, how great they were in clutch time.
Yeah, I mean, they were a veteran team, and Kawhi is one of the better clutch players in recent NBA history, but still, like, it was crazy. Another close game, a future finals preview. The Warriors come to town in November. Now, Steph and Draymond were out, but KD was still there, and KD puts in 51, hit that ridiculous turnaround in Kawhi's face to force overtime. But the Raptors would end up taking an OT. Kawhi was big as well. He had 37. Nick Nurse gets named Eastern Conference Coach of the Month, so pretty good. Second month coach, and you're already Coach of the Month. And the Raptors did cool off a bit in December, but they picked things back up in January. Interesting stat, January 1st, Kawhi drops a career high 45 points in a win over the Jazz. Like, I know he's not a volume scorer, he's not Dame.
You think he would have had at least one 50-point game.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I guess he's like Shea.
Right.
You know, he really consistently gives you like 30, very rarely more, very rarely less.
And more close games. Serge Ibaka, of all players, hits a huge 3 against the Wizards in a double overtime game to give him the win. And then 4 days later, Pascal Siakam also gets a game winner on a layup over the Suns. So they just always found a way to win these close games. And now on to February, they were red hot, and big part of that was bringing in Marc Gasol. What a trade this was.
You know what's hilarious about this trade is when it happened at the time, I missed it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't remember this trade happening.
I
for some
had no
reason.
Clue until I was watching like a national TV game or an NBA TV game featuring the Raptors, and I just look out on the court and Marc Gasol's out there wearing red and white. I'm like, when did this happen?
A great trade because you didn't give up much. You only send out CJ Miles, Jonas Valanciunas, and DeLon Wright, and a second round pick to get him, not even a first. And like, he wasn't the defensive player of the year player anymore, but he was a very good veteran to add to the team. Kawhi and Kyle Lowry were both all-stars. OG Anunoby, he participates in the Rising Stars game, and then Danny Green was in the 3-point contest. And now on to post All-Star break, the Raptors open up, DeMar DeRozan coming home, and I actually love this play. The Spurs are up 1 late. DeRozan's dribbling the ball up the court, but you know, Kawhi's just picking at it, and he eventually gets it. He dunks it on the other end, and the Raptors win. Kawhi as a two-way player this season was just off the charts.
Maybe the best he's ever been.
Yeah.
Probably actually the best he has ever been. A few games later though, one that we remember, the Blazers come to town. Both the Blazers and the Raptors were red hot at this point. Once again though, Kawhi gets us in the clutch. Dame gets switched onto him, and Kawhi just baseline with Dame guarding him. I mean, that's about as barbecue chicken as you could possibly get. But the Raptors, they finished the season 58-24. They lose one more game than they did the year prior, but they were clearly a better team. Matchup with the Magic in round 1, and game 1 of this series was a complete shocker. The Raptors led early, but a huge second quarter from the Magic gave them an 8-point halftime lead. Raptors responded with a big third quarter, took a 1-point lead going into the fourth, and down the stretch of the fourth quarter, I mean, it was back and forth. Kawhi hits a baseline jumper to give the Raptors a 2-point lead with a minute to go. DJ Augustin, though, then he hits a layup to tie the game at 101. Magic get a stop, and DJ Augustin, of all players, a dagger 3 with 3.4 seconds left. Kawhi tried to tie it up on the next possession, but he tosses up an air ball, and Orlando behind, again, DJ Augustin comes into Toronto and beats the Raptors in game 1.
I mean, the point guard battle, DJ Augustin, just some random ass dude. I mean, he had a nice NBA career, but he was
a journeyman at this point.
Yes, exactly. He gives you 25, and Kyle Lowry, the all-star, gives you 0 points, and this did not help Kyle Lowry's kind of rep at the time because he was known as this playoff underperformer.
Well, he was coming off the LeBronto series,
right. So it wasn't a good look, but in game 2, the Raptors played more like the team we saw all season. They start up 16-2, take a 12-point lead at halftime. Eventually, they follow that up with a huge third quarter, push the lead up to 20, and they win 111-82 to tie the series. Kawhi had a monster game. He gives you 37, and Kyle Lowry, much better, gives you 22-7 as well. Game 3, just like game 2, the Raptors had a great start. A drive and dunk from Kawhi gave him a 10-point lead midway through the first. Magic were able to close the gap though. A half-court heave from Terrence Ross at the end of the first, that cut the lead down to 3. But the Raptors built the lead back up in the third. In the fourth, a Kyle Lowry step back pushed the lead up to 17. From there, the Magic, they would chip away. They got it down to 3, but Raptors hold on. They win 98-93 to take a 2-1 lead. And in game 4, Magic respond. They start out hot early. They're up 9-1, but the Raptors, they slowly settle into end of things, took a 2-point lead to end the first, followed up with a huge second quarter, took a 16-point lead at halftime, and from there they never let up. They win 107-85 to go up 3-1. Kawhi was just excellent. He puts in 34, and the Raptors now have a chance to close things out in Toronto. Big sigh of relief from Raptors fans because I'm sure they had flashbacks, but this time they got Kawhi Leonard. It's a little bit different.
Like, first it was LeBron doing it to us, now it's DJ Augustine. Like, what do we gotta do? But game 5, they dust off the Magic, 115-96. Got off to a hot start, and it was basically over after that. Kawhi and Siakam combined for 51, and the Raptors are off to round 2 against the 76ers. A 76ers team that had maybe one of the best starting fives in like recent NBA history. It was the JJ Redick, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons before he broke his mind, Jimmy and Embiid team. Great starting lineup, but a limited bench. So, this was going to be a tough series. Game 1, though, Kawhi absolutely ate. Both him and Siakam combined for 34 points in the first quarter. Raptors led by 8 after 1. Kawhi stayed hot, had 27 points at halftime. And then the second half, the 76ers, they made it interesting a little bit in the third quarter, but the Raptors would go on to win 108-95. Kawhi ties his career high, gives you 45, and Siakam adds 29. Game 2, though, it was Philly that got off to the hot start.
Yeah, 3 from James Ennis at the end of the first, gave him a 9-point lead going to the second. They further extended that lead. They had a rare 5-point possession that included an and 1 3 from Jimmy and a technical foul from JJ Redick. That pushed the lead all the way up to 18 in the second. Raptors would slowly chip away. They got the lead all the way down to 1 after some free throws from Marc Gasol, but the 76ers pushed the lead back up to double digits. Once again, the Raptors fight back. A Siakam putback again got the lead down to 1, but Embiid responds with a layup. Danny Green misses a potential game-tying 3, and the 76ers survived to even the series at 1 apiece. And then in game 3, Joel Embiid had maybe his one good game from the series. He was pretty ass, got shut down by Marc Gasol, but he was good this game. 33, 10, and 5 blocks. Once again, the 76ers have a better start. They're up 11 at halftime, and from there, the game was never really close. Embiid caps things off with that pump fake windmill dunk, and then did like the airplane, celebration.
Completely nixed Jason Terry's jet celebration.
Yeah, exactly, but it was a cool dunk. I'll give him that. So now the 76ers got a 2-1 lead going into a big game 4.
And as he did the entire playoff run, Kawhi Leonard showed up big time when the Raptors needed him in game 4. Raptors took an early double-digit lead, but the 76ers fought back. And after this, the game was back and forth all night long. Second half alone, there were 8 lead changes and 6 ties. But ultimately, it was Kawhi that came through in the clutch. JJ Redick got the lead down to 1 with the 3. Kawhi gets Embiid on him on a switch, though, and then hits a step-back 3 right over him to push the lead back up to 4. Raptors end up surviving 101-96 to tie the series at 2. Kawhi goes off for 39, 11, and 5, heading back to Toronto for game 5. A game that started out pretty close. The Raptors only led by 1 after the first, but they completely dominated the second quarter, got the lead up to 20, and from there it was basically over. Kawhi had that one huge dunk on Embiid at the end of the third. Raptors win 125-89 going away, puts them within 1 win of getting back to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, credit to Philly though in game 6. They responded. The game, kind of like game 5 was close early, but then 76ers go on a run down the first, and they take an 8-point lead after the first. And after that, the game wasn't close. Some garbage time buckets from the Raptors made it closer than it was, but really it was a 20-point lead for the 76ers this entire game. And now game 7 back in Toronto, one of the greatest games in NBA history. We all know this game, a game for the ages, a very kind of slow scoring game to start. It's game 7. They're going to be playing tough defense. Raptors led 18-13 after the first. From there, neither team could pull away. The largest lead of this game was only 8 points that the Raptors had early in the second quarter, but we all remember how this game ends. Fast forward to 24 seconds left. 76ers, they got the ball down 3, and B gets fouled. He makes both his free throws, so now the lead's down to 1. Kawhi immediately gets fouled on the next possession. He makes the first, but then misses the second. Tobias Harris gets the rebound. He kicks it up to Jimmy, who ties the game. So now 4.2 seconds left. The Raptors got one last chance to win it. Kawhi gets the ball. He dribbles to the right side and hits, I think, the best buzzer beater in NBA history. Bounces on the rim like 4 times and eventually goes through.
That's the reason it's the best. Like, conventional wisdom would tell you, oh, you just want a clean swish because that's the best. But no, like the moments of anticipation when the ball is on the rim and it's bouncing around and every single person in the arena, all the players, coaches, everyone's just looking and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then it drops through the hoop. You got Kevin Harlan and Greg Anthony just going, oh!
So now on to the conference finals. You're taking on league MVP Giannis. You're taking on the Bucks, who had the best record in the entire league this season. Game one, though, Raptors actually got off to the better start. Kawhi and Siakam combined for 18 in the first quarter, and they had a double-digit lead after the first. And they kept a lead for most of this game. A 3 from Siakam at the end of the third, gave him a 7-point lead. But weirdly enough, it was Brook Lopez who just caught fire in the fourth. He had 13 fourth quarter points, and the Bucks would end up winning game one, 108-100, to go up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, and they carried that momentum into game two. Started the game on a 9-0 run, led by 14 after the first quarter. After that, the Raptors were never even able to get the game down to single digits. Giannis put up 30, 17, and 5. 6 players for the Bucks scored in double figures, and they win 125-103. Not looking good for Toronto at this point, coming home for game three. And this game would basically go down to the wire. Toronto got off to the better start and led for basically the entire game, but again, the Bucks, they never went away, slowly chipped away at the lead. And with 9 seconds left, Chris Middleton missed a 3 that would have put the Bucks up 1. Siakam gets the ball and was fouled, so if he makes both his free throws, game's over. Problem is he missed both his free throws.
Yeah, so the Bucks cut the ball back, still down 2. Chris Middleton drives in. He's blocked initially by Danny Green, but immediately gets the ball back, lays it up to tie the game. Siakam misses a potential game winner, so now we're heading to overtime. And once again, they kind of got it wrapped up. They're up 4, but then they let Malcolm Brogdon get a floater. Some free throws from George Hill tied the game, and Kawhi misses a potential game winner. So now we're going to overtime, but Giannis fouls out. Kawhi takes over with 8 points in the period, and the Raptors win 118-112 to get their first win in the series. Game 4 would be much more comfortable win for the Raptors, though. It started off close, but a big second quarter from them gave them a 10-point lead at halftime. They basically kept a double-digit lead the rest of the game, so they win 120-102. So now we're tied 2-2 going to Milwaukee for a big game 5, and the Bucks, they put the clamps on to start game 5. They had a 32-22 lead after the first. Raptors slowly chip away. They get the lead down to 3 at halftime. Bucks respond back. They push the lead back up to double digits, but then the Raptors again just slowly chip away, and it was just a huge fourth quarter from Kawhi that gave him the win. He had 15 in the fourth, 35 for the game, and now after going down 0-2 against the best team in the league, at least regular season wise, you're now up 3-2. What a turnaround for the Raptors.
Yeah, and in game 6, obviously Toronto's going to be rocking for this one, but the Bucks got off to a good start, led by 13 after the first. Siakam and Van Vliet, though, got going in the second quarter, and Toronto got the lead down to 3 at halftime. Both teams went back and forth in the third quarter, and they got the lead down to 1 going into the fourth, and once again, it was all Raptors in the fourth quarter. Kawhi had that one dunk where Lowry passed it to him on a fast break, and he just jams it with his left hand right in Giannis's face. Marc Gasol and Kawhi would hit back-to-back threes to extend the lead up to 5. Raptors would hang on 194, and they advanced to their first ever NBA Finals.
And now in the NBA Finals, they were taking on the Golden State Warriors, trying to be the first team since Shaq and Kobe to three-peat. And obviously, they had much more experience than this Raptors team. And the Raptors had some experience. Kawhi had been the Finals, Danny Green with the Spurs, Serge Ibaka with that one Finals with the Thunder. But the Warriors were far more experienced. KD was still out, though, with that calf strain, and no one knew if he was going to come back. It was kind of doubtful he was going to come back. Kind of gets forgotten about. Boogie actually came back for this series. He had some moments, but really didn't do much. And in game 1, the Raptors, that energy at home court really carried them to a win. Marc Gasol was big. Siakam basically played a perfect game. Gives you 32 points on 14 to 17 shooting. How about that for a finals debut? Game was close throughout, but the Raptors pulled away at the end. Van Vliet hits this ridiculous fading 3 over Klay Thompson, and then Kyle Lowry finished things off with a just deep 3 to end the game. And they win game 1, 118-109 to take a 1-0 series lead. But in game 2, the Warriors did a much better job of containing Siakam. Klay had a hot start. Raptors still led by 1 after the first, but they slowly built up the lead. They got it up to 10 after Lowry hit a corner 3 with 6:30 left in the second. Steph started to get going, so the Warriors got the lead down to 5 at halftime, and then it was classic third quarter Warriors. We've seen it way too many times.
Unfortunately, we have. 16-0 run this time, though, going back to the end of the second quarter, and after that, they never gave the lead back. The Raptors kept it close in the fourth. They got it down to 4 points, but Quinn Cook, of all players, this is another Warriors staple, just a random role player like a Quinn Cook or a Patrick McCaw, someone who comes in and just hits massive shots. He hit 2 huge threes, and the Warriors won game 2 to even the series at 1 game apiece. So back to the Bay for game 3. Klay Thompson was also out for this game, though, had a mild hamstring injury, so it was basically all on Steph, and to his credit, he did everything he could in this game. He poured in 47 points, but the problem was he was just playing against a much better team without Klay and without KD. Even though Steph had 25 points at halftime, halftime, the Raptors still led by 8.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he was dealing with.
Kawhi then put in 15 in the third quarter. They pushed the lead to double digits, and the short-handed Warriors, they weren't coming back from that. Again, Fred VanVleet capped things off with a 3. He shot to the moon and back. So now the Raptors take a 2-1 lead. Going into game 4, Klay comes back. Warriors got off to a much better start. They led 23-17 after the first. Kawhi basically was keeping the Raptors alive all by himself. Warriors kept a small lead going to halftime, but this time it was the Raptors who had the huge third quarter. Kawhi pours in 17 the third alone. Overall, they outscore the Warriors by 6 in the quarter, and from there it was never close again. The Raptors win 105-92, and now they're just 1 win away from their first ever championship.
Yeah, but going into game 5, we got the news that Kevin Durant would be making his return from that calf strain. No one at the time knew how good he was going to be. At this point, no one knew if he was 100%, if he was 60%, if he was 30%. No one knew. Like, he was a complete unknown. Started the game off cooking though. At 11 first quarter points, Steph had 14 in the first, and the Warriors took a 6-point lead at the end of the quarter. But unfortunately for the Warriors, KD would go down. He ruptured his Achilles early in the second quarter, so he was done for the series. Boogie though, interestingly enough, this is one of those moments you were talking about. He came into the second and started cooking, so the Warriors had a 6-point lead at halftime, but in the third quarter, it really felt like the Raptors were gonna put this thing away. They went on a big run. Kawhi scored 10 straight points for the Raptors midway through the fourth. That put them up 6. It felt like, okay, this is their moment. The Warriors, just too many injuries, too many obstacles to overcome, but keep doubting the Warriors and they'll keep beating you because Klay got a 3 to cut the lead down to 3. A minute later, Steph followed up with a 3 of his own to tie the game. And then Klay comes right back, hits another 3 with 56 seconds left, and just like that, the Warriors have the lead back.
Yeah, this was actually one of my favorite moments from like the Warriors dynasty. Even though they didn't end up winning this series, it just showed like, it felt like it was over. The Raptors had just won the championship, and in a blink of an eye, they're back and they have the lead. Raptors had one last chance. VanVleet kicked it out to Kyle Lowry for a 3 that would have won the finals, but he missed everything, to be honest. And now we're going to game 6 in the Bay. Kyle Lowry responded. He was cooking early. He had the first 11 points for the Raptors. They took an 11-2 lead. Warriors responded with a run of their own. They got the lead down to 1, and the game stayed close in the second. Raptors took a 3-point lead going to halftime, but then the third quarter, Klay was cooking, and it felt like, is this another game 6 Klay moment? But then devastatingly, he tears his ACL, comes back to shoot the free throws, but he would never return. And after that, it was VanVleet who just completely closed things. He had 12 fourth quarter points, just hit some insane threes. Warriors have one last chance. Draymond kicks it to Steph for a 3 that would have put them up with 9.6 seconds left, but he misses. Raptors hold on to win their first championship in franchise history.
Yeah, I mean, an incredible all-time run, especially from Kawhi Leonard. I mean, it's up there with like Dirk's 2011 run. I don't think it's quite as good as that because that was just such an incredible underdog story. But in terms of like modern NBA playoff runs, all-time run for Kawhi. Incredible. I mean, people were saying he was the best player in the world after this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fair argument. Him and LeBron were up there. And it really kind of started this new thing in the modern NBA where it was deep teams, one superstar, you got a couple co-stars, but deep teams that play defense, because through the 2010s and through the 2000s, there was a lot of super teams. Big threes were popular. Obviously, the Warriors with all their superstars there, the Cavs with superstars. This shifted the modern NBA to where it is now, where it's defensive teams that are deep and like one superstar and other players around them. And the last thing to mention, first championship for a team from Canada. I personally would like to see another team in Canada, mainly because we could drive up to Vancouver for a road trip. It'd be nice to see just like one more team in Canada, but this will forever be the first championship team from the country of Canada. So shout out to all the Canadians watching the video. So what do you guys think? Where do you rank Kawhi's run all time? And where do you rank this 2019 Raptors team among recent NBA champions? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.